If you peel back the layers of pretty much every major data science library in Python, we're talking Pandas, scikit-learn, even TensorFlow, you're going to hit a solid foundation. And that foundation, that bedrock, is NumPy. So what's the secret sauce? What makes this one library the engine that powers, well, everything? Let's dive in and find out. So here's the game plan. We'll start with why Python needed a performance boost in the first place. Then we'll meet the amazing data structure that solves the problem. We'll uncover its superpower, which is called vectorization, see how it's used out in the real world, and then wrap up with some advanced stuff that'll get you ready for the future.
All right, let's start with the why. I mean, we all love Python, right? It's flexible, it's easy to read. So why does it suddenly need this serious performance boost when it comes to data science?
Well, it turns out the very things that make Python so delightful to use, like dynamic typing, where you don't have to declare a variable's type, they come with a hidden cost. When you're not just dealing with a few items, but with millions or even billions of data points, that flexibility suddenly creates a massive performance bottleneck. And this slide just nails the core difference. On the left, you've got your standard Python list. Think of it as just a collection of signposts, or pointers, each pointing to a different object scattered all over your computer's memory. So to do any math, Python has to follow each signpost and then check, okay, what type of thing is this, for every single item. It's slow. But NumPy, on the right, it just throws that whole model out the window. It's one single, solid, unbroken block of memory where every single element is the exact same type. No more type checking, no more chasing pointers, just pure blazing speed. So it's time to meet the hero of our story, the ndarray. This is the fundamental data structure that completely changes the game for doing math in Python.
An ndarray is just an n-dimensional array. Now that sounds fancy, but it just means it can be a simple 1D list, a 2D spreadsheet, a 3D cube of numbers, whatever you need. But its absolute key feature, and this is where all the power comes from, is what we call homogeneity. Every single element has to be the same data type. That one constraint is what makes NumPy so unbelievably efficient.
And this little code snippet shows you exactly how we can describe that structure. Check out the output down below. We can just ask any array for its key attributes. The .ndim tells us, hey, this is a three-dimensional array. The .shape gives us a little tuple that says it's 2 layers deep, and each layer has 3 rows and 4 columns. And .size, that just gives us the grand total of elements, which is just 2 times 3 times 4, so 24. Simple as that. Okay, so if all the elements have to be the same type, we need a way to tell NumPy what that type is. And in NumPy land, we call that the data type, short for data type. And let me tell you, picking the right one is not some minor tweak. It is absolutely critical when you're working with huge data sets where every single byte of memory counts. Let's look at a real example here. By default, NumPy might create an array using 64-bit integers. That's 8 bytes of memory for every single number. But what if we know our numbers are small, and they're never going to go above, say, 127? Well, we can explicitly tell NumPy, hey, use an 8-bit integer instead. Just by changing the dtype to int 8, like you see in the code, boom, we've instantly cut our memory usage for that array by 8 times. At scale, that is a massive, massive deal. So we've got this super efficient data structure, but how do we actually unlock its true speed? Well, the answer lies in this incredible concept called vectorization. So here's the key takeaway. Vectorization is all about getting rid of your Python for loops. Instead of slowly iterating over each element one by one in Python, you just tell NumPy to perform the operation on the entire array all at once. Under the hood, NumPy is running highly optimized, pre-compiled C code that just flies. You're basically outsourcing the slow work to a much faster language. And just look at how clean this is. We want to convert 1 million temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit. In normal Python, you'd write a slow loop. In NumPy, you just take the entire Celsius array and write Celsius R times 1.8 plus 32. That one single line of beautiful, readable math operates on all 1 million elements, almost instantly. It's elegant, and it's orders of magnitude faster. Okay, that's a great question, right? Vectorization seems amazing when your arrays are all the same size. But what happens when they're not? Like, how do you add just one number to a huge array or subtract a row from a whole matrix? The answer is broadcasting. And honestly, this feels like magic. It's a powerful mechanism where NumPy will virtually stretch the smaller array to match the shape of the larger one, so that the math can still work element by element. And the best part? It does this without actually using any extra memory to make a bigger copy. It's all a clever illusion that makes your code fast and memory efficient. So,
Now that we've got the fundamentals down, let's go see NumPy out in the wild. How are people actually applying these concepts in the real world?
I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly frames NumPy's role. It's the raw, powerful engine under the hood. But for your day-to-day driving, for your data analysis, you probably want a more user-friendly interface, right? You want a dashboard and a steering wheel, and that's exactly what Pandas is. It's built right on top of that powerful NumPy engine.
So how are they different? Well, this table breaks it down nicely. For indexing, NumPy just uses simple numbers, position 0, position 1, and so on. Pandas gives you powerful human-readable labels, like column names. For data types, as we know, NumPy demands that everything is the same type. Pandas is cool with mixing it up. You can have columns with text, numbers, and dates all in the same table. This makes NumPy perfect for pure math, and Pandas the king of data wrangling. So here's a quick cheat sheet for you. If you're implementing a math-heavy algorithm from a paper, doing linear algebra, or working with something like image data, you want the raw power of NumPy. But if you're reading a messy CSV file, cleaning up missing values, or analyzing time series data, you're going to want the convenience of Pandas. And check this out. This is an amazing real-world example. A standard color image? It's literally nothing more than a three-dimensional NumPy array. You have height, width, and then 3 color channels for red, green, and blue. And the code here shows how operations that sound really complex are actually trivial. Cropping an image? That's just basic array slicing. Making it brighter? You're just adding a number to the entire array. It's unbelievably powerful.
Okay, let's wrap up with a couple of more advanced topics. And listen up because this is the kind of detail that often comes up in technical interviews and really separates the folks who know their stuff. This right here is one of the most important and honestly most misunderstood concepts in NumPy, the difference between a view and a copy. When you do a simple slice of an array, NumPy doesn't actually create a whole new array. It gives you a view, which is like a new window looking at the exact same data. It's super fast, but it means if you change the view, you change the original too. A copy, on the other hand, creates a brand new, completely independent array in memory. It's a bit slower, but it's safe from those dangerous side effects. And this code proves the point perfectly. Seeing is believing, right? In that first block, we make a simple slice, which creates a view. We change the first element of that little subset to 999, and look, the original array changes too. But in the second example, we use something called fancy indexing, which forces NumPy to make a copy. We change that copy, and the original is completely untouched. Knowing this difference is absolutely crucial for writing bug-free code. And hey, don't think for a second that NumPy is just some old library that's standing still. The recent NumPy 2.0 release brings some major modernizations. We're talking much better ways to handle text data, a new standard that lets you write code that can run on different hardware like CPUs or GPUs, and it fixes a bunch of those annoying little inconsistencies that used to pop up between operating systems. So, we've come full circle. NumPy is the fast, efficient, powerful bedrock of the entire Python data science world. It gives us a language to turn everything from images to financial models into numbers that a computer can process at incredible speed. The only question left is, what are you going to build on top of it?